Hello, Grio family. Welcome to Vote for Your Life. This is a special town hall on theGrio.com. And we thank you so much for tuning in wherever you are tuning in from today. My name is Natasha S. Alford. I'm Vice President of Digital Content at theGrio. And we are so honored to have you with us and honored to have a superstar panel of legends and leaders here to talk about this crucial time in America. That's election 2020, and it's only 37 days away. So while we are getting started, tell us where you're tuning in from, send us your questions, and we will get to them. And most importantly, I need to welcome this panel. They really need no introduction, but let's just go one by one to start. The founder and chairman and CEO of Allen Media Group and Entertainment Studios. He is also the owner of theGrio and my boss, Mr. Byron Allen. Welcome. How are you, Byron?
I'm doing great. Great. It's great to see you and it's great to be here. We have a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah, we have a lot to unpack today. Also joining us is award-winning White House correspondent, CNN political analyst, the one and only April Ryan. How are you, Miss Ryan?
I'm fine, Natasha. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this conversation. It's needed.
So necessary, yes. And last but not least, the iconic. I don't even know how to begin to read the resume. Singer, songwriter, one of the best-selling music artists of all time, most awarded Grammy artist of all time, game-changing activist, Mr. Stevie Wonder. Welcome.
Genius.
He's only saying that because he's from Detroit too.
Genius.
Detroit in the building, always. So, first and foremost, I'm going to start with the most obvious question, which is
I'm sorry, Natasha. I also want to let the good folks out there know Jamie Foxx is going to join us any minute, as well as John Legend.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have two more icons joining us in the chat. And so if you see our screens move around, that is explaining what's happening. But my first question to the group is, what is at stake for Black America in election 2020? This election is like no other. So why is it so important that we vote, and what is at stake?
April?
Thank you. I think about what was asked of Black America about 4 years ago. The question was, what do we have to lose? We have everything to lose, and we're losing it right now. Our lives, our money, our standing, everything that we have is on the line. And it's not just about COVID. It's about who we are as a people, our rising and our downfall. We are in something, and I'm sure, if we placed a sepia tone picture in front of us at this moment and turned our head and closed our eyes really fast and looked at it, we would think we were back to 1950 and 1960. And maybe even beyond. And at the end of the day, we are people who've been here for over 401 years. And we are still trying to have first-class citizenship with the right to vote. The vote is being suppressed. And the culprit now is the White House stealing the mailboxes off street corners, hijacking them, and playing with the sorting machines. That is something that happened in the 50s and 60s when we had literacy tests and poll taxes. I think about just the right to be people, to have justice in a courtroom, not in a bedroom like Breonna Taylor, not on a street corner like George Floyd, and the countless others that we can call their names to. Eric Garner, Freddie Gray, the list goes on. And it's so much at stake. We are part of that. We, the people who are still forming a more perfect union, even though people are trying to bully us into submission. It's about first-class citizenship for all. And there are people who are in the highest spaces who feel we don't deserve that. And we have to now use critical thinking in the midst of this very painful moment where we may have to even wear a hazmat suit to the polls. I mean, I cannot express how serious this is. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I'm telling you to go vote. And my family, Byron, they made it an event. My parents used to take me and my little brother to the poll when they had that big handle with the curtain, you slammed it, and you had the chads. You pull down those levers, the dimple chads, the pregnant chads, the hanging chads, all of that. And we have to really look at it as an event again, because they're trying to take it away from us to play with politics that affects you. And I'm going to end it on this. We have to remember, politics is not about party. It's about people. It's about humanity. And we have forgotten that. And we are the ones who are still in 2020 in a community that still has the highest numbers of negatives in almost every category. And if we continue down this path that we're in now, we cannot reverse it. We're going to go back.
This is a very important moment in America, period, and especially Black America. And we have to really understand, Black America has to really understand this, what I'm about to say. We are the most powerful vote in America, because usually the white vote is split 50-50. And the reason they work so hard to eliminate our vote, to suppress our vote, is because they know we are the tiebreaker. We are the deciding factor. That's why they work so hard to make sure Black and brown people can't vote. And they go out of their way to do so. Here's what happens when we vote, when Black America votes, the most powerful vote in America. You can get a President Barack Hussein Obama when we show up, okay? When we don't, you can lose a Hillary Clinton and get a Donald Trump. So when you look at situations like Florida, we lost Andrew Gillum as governor of Florida by 0.5 percentage point. Half. We lost Stacey Abrams as governor of Georgia by 1 point. So what I say is, Black America, unleash your power. The most powerful thing you have is your vote. Lean in and vote. And why is this key? This is a moment that if Black America shows up at the polls, Black America will determine the outcome. And here's what you have. You have the ability to deliver Biden and Harris into the White House. That's going to mean we're going to have the first female vice president in America happens to be a Black woman. And now you have positioned her for success to become the first female president after Biden, the first female president in America, a Black woman. That's what we're on the precipice of achieving, okay? Now, what I say to Black America, don't just vote for the White House. We have to go up and down the ticket, because we want Biden and Harris to control the House and the Senate so they're not lame ducks. And so we have to lean in and make sure that Harris beats Lindsey Graham. We can do that with a little, if we, God, give $5, $10 to Jamie Harris so we can take out Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is scared. He's on TV crying that Harris is about to take him out. We can help Amy McGrath take out Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell has been disrespectful to us every day of our lives. He just shredded Obama. We can take out Collins. We can control the Senate. And now decisions can be made that work in our favor, because right now, the only way to get people off our neck and the only way to stop genocide against Black America is to lean in, Black America, vote, and put people in a position to stop the genocide that has been going on against us for over 400 years. We must vote, and we must stop the genocide against Black America.
Mr. Stevie Wonder, I know that the connection cut out as I was asking the question, but I asked the panel, why is this election so important for Black America? Why must we vote in this election?
Well, first of all, listen, if these past 4 years haven't shown you how you should vote, then you've got some issue in your head. And I'm just being perfectly honest. And is it illegal to say who you support? Can you not say that over the social media?
You can say who you support and why you support them.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say I support Joe Biden completely and Kamala Harris completely. And I say that because what I see in them, because what I found, and I'm saying this to my children the other day, I was talking to my wife about it. What I see, I don't see your face, but I see your heart. I see your soul. And so what I'm seeing in all of these different discussions, whether it be this current president or people that are friends of mine or family members, is their soul. I see their soul. That's what I look at. And so when I'm looking at the soul, I'm saying, who is committed to making this world a better place? Not just mouth work, because anyone can do that. You know, so when you sing a song, you sing it from the soul. And people, you know when you are hearing something from the spirit, from the soul, versus mouth work. I feel that it's time for us to bring love back to this nation. This is an angry nation. Angry. And it concerns me because in one breath, people say they love God. And they love God and they say whatever their religion is. But as I've said before, it's not about the religion. It's about the relationship with God. And truly, I don't see people having a real relationship with God, which is more important than your religion. As to the issue of voting, again, if you haven't seen over the last 4 years how and what you need to do, then something's wrong up here, honestly. And so, yes, it's important. It's important that we use the power that we have as a people, but as well as a united people, as a conscious people of whatever ethnicity or color you might be. You see, for me, I don't see color, even though, you know, you see color. So you can't say, well, I don't see color. You see color. You're not blind. You can see who, whatever. But what I do see is the color of one's spirit. And so when I hear and feel someone spewing out hate, and when I hear or feel someone spewing out, you're less because you're from one country versus another, or you are of one economic level versus the other, then I see that has no place in whatever heaven you think you might go to someday, or to whatever nation you say that you're leading. So it's important that we take the responsibility and commitment to making the world a better place by starting right here, right now. You've got to vote. You can't say your vote doesn't matter. It does start with local, and state, and then federal. And you've got to take advantage of doing everything that you can to make a difference. You cannot afford to let life move back. It's not going to do that anyway. You know, we have no control of that. We're going to live for as long as we live. We're going to die and there'll be no generation, nothing. And so how and what we do at this time and space and place is going to determine what happens for our children, our grandchildren, so forth and so on. We can't talk about how we've been dealing with this issue for 401 years. 401 years and not do anything about it. You know, when I saw so many people talking about how we wish we could have a king holiday and how they wish this and that, and how people were begging for it to happen, in my mind, immediately I imagined this happening. When I wrote the song, I imagined the holiday happening. I told Miss King of the dream that I had in the me singing this song, leading a parade, celebrating the holiday. I just knew it was going to be. And I think this is what we have to do in this election and anything that we do. We have to imagine and be on the page of winning. We know what has happened. We've seen what has happened. We've seen it happen over and over again. It's like a record that seems like it's, it's on a warp. It keeps doing over and over. I can recite it by heart. It's funny because I know there were those that said, I did the universe is watching us after I heard the verdict, but actually I had put another few Sunday. And unfortunately, when I got emotional about it, I was thinking of all the various people that had been killed. I was thinking about how there's such a lack of value of the very, as human beings on this planet, for the woman, of the Black woman, disrespected over and over again. I think about, I watch television, obviously, I watch with my ears, but I see it very clearly. And, I watch, the news and all of that, and I hear the various things that happen. People are getting killed, and, the confrontation. So something like a couple of months, maybe like in March or something like that, where there was a African-American man in some situation, and he would say, well, I was afraid you're gonna kill me. And he said, oh no, we're not gonna kill you, but ultimately he was killed. And so, this is a heartbreak. There was a song that I think Joe played for me yesterday, talking about, I'm going to go on stage. What's that? And how in the story, talking about how his mother was telling him the things that he had to do. He had to be quiet. You got to do that. Come on, stop it. It's about respect. You will never get respect if you don't give it back.
That's right. That's right.
The moment that you understand as a child, you can respect your mother and father. Well, they've got to give it respect back, and they do. Well, it's the same with people that are supposed to protect and serve the nation, serve the people. And I think, actually, I have a lot of things I think. One thing I'll say is this. If you think that fear, spreading fear to a people, saying, hey, they're going to come and get in your neighborhood and all, come on. This is just trying to create something that's not true.
That's right.
Don't let fear put your dreams to sleep.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Fear is nothing. Stevie touched on so many great points. Look, fear is nothing more than another form of slavery. You cannot succumb. And the thing that I love there's so many things I love about my brother Stevie, is that he automatically wants to take action. When I call Stevie and I talk about the situation, he goes, what do we do? How do we do? When do we start? That's who he is. That's why he worked closely with Coretta Scott King, the true queen of America, Coretta Scott King. And they achieved the Martin Luther King birthday as a national federal holiday. The only American to have his birthday as a national holiday. Stevie Wonder, Coretta Scott King, and Senator Ted Kennedy achieved that because they took action. What's the action? What's the CTA? What is the call to action? It's simple. We need you to register early. Because you have to register early because they want you to be confused and not go to the right place. You need to vote early. You have to vote early because they want you to stand in line somewhere for 8 hours. And then when you get to the table, tell you you are in the wrong place.
Right.
And you can avoid that if you register early, know where you're supposed to vote, and vote. When I say early, a lot of times throughout the country, the polls are open the day before, or 3 days, or 4 or 5 days before. You don't have to wait until Tuesday, November 3rd. So you need to register, vote early, and you need to vote. And like I said, take $5, take $10, donate it to whoever it is you want. Donate it, because it goes a long way. Remember, President Barack Hussein Obama raised over $1 billion. And I'm very proud of the fact that he's gonna go down, he goes down as the first Black president of the United States. But 50, 100 years from now, they're gonna look back, they're gonna say he was also the first internet president, because he raised so much money through the internet. The average donation was like somewhere between 25 and $80 per person. And so those donations, he raised over $1 billion. You can't win office without it. So lean in and donate and vote early, because there are forces that are working to shut you down. There's a book that I read called Dark Money. And Dark Money is about very wealthy white billionaires who spend a lot of money lobbying to have the politicians in place to do the things they want done for them, which I can assure you is not in your interest. And they are giving lots of money to make sure you are in the position you're in. Black America, you are positioned to fail. Black America, you are positioned not to participate in the great economic American pie. Black America, the only way you can reverse that, you have to lean in and you have to vote. And yes, donate.
Yeah. But Byron, if I could jump in really fast, and voting is so critical right now. I'm very much in that vein with you. But sometimes we have to give people a little bit more information than vote, because they're like, okay, what do I do? How do I do it? Where do I go? People need to reach out and call their Board of Elections supervisors in their community. Pick up the phone or find on your smartphone, find your local Board of Elections supervisors and find out about your ballot, find out where you vote, find out if you can vote early, etc. And because voting, as you said, voting is underway right now in many states with early voting and the ballot via mail. But also, if you have any questions, reach out to the League of Women Voters as well. There are organizations that are here, that have been here, well established, not involved in the politics in this moment of voting, that can help you get your ballot to where it needs to be by November 3rd. And remember, I know you're hearing that this election is not going to be called November 3rd. It probably won't, because of the fact that we are voting, but you are part of the process. And it's so important. And I'm in the Baltimore area, and I love my city. And one of the names out of Baltimore that's an example of voting and how each vote counts is Kwesi Mfume. You would never know his name unless he won the city council seat. He is now Congressman Kwesi Mfume for the second time. He was once the head of the NAACP, but he won his city council vote in Baltimore by 3 votes. Votes count. 3 votes. 3 votes. And his grandmother says, boy, if it rained, you better thank the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, those 3 votes, the Trinity, for you winning. So each vote does matter, and it does count.
Yes.
You have enormous power.
If I can jump in really quickly, we have hundreds of people who are watching right now, and I need you to do one thing. There is a share button on this conversation. Please hit share so that this message can get spread out in the Black community.
Yes.
Whatever algorithm may or may not allow us to advertise this conversation, because we are bold, we're having unapologetic, very real conversation. So we need you to amplify this conversation. I want to just put this out there. So in 2012, the Black vote actually surpassed the white vote, because we showed up in historic numbers at the poll. But in 2016, under 60% of us showed up, and we saw that it all changed. So for those who say, look, I'm just not inspired by the current folks, my vote comes with an agenda, how do we explain to them that you still can show up and have your agenda met? Who wants to take that?
April?
I guess I will. So politics is personal. It is unfortunate that we're looking at people for our entertainment value, and we are looking for rock stars. We need to be looking for people who deal with the issues that affect us, who work with us, who are amenable to listening to us, who, like Shirley Chisholm said, who will allow you to come to the table. Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman to run for president in 1972, said, if you don't have a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. You have to find someone who's willing to allow you to bring a folding chair and for you to maybe own the table. So the problem is that we have to stop looking at stardom, looking at the entertainment value, and looking at the fact, what about my housing? What about my pocketbook? What about my education? We have to look at those real issues that affect us every day. And the unfortunate thing is Barack Obama, when he ran for president, we saw something we never saw before. The first Black man to actually rise to the seat of power that we've never had before. And then once he was leaving, we said, okay, Hillary Clinton is there, but she's not Barack Obama. No, she isn't, but she dealt with the same issues that he dealt with. And the unfortunate thing is people did not go to the polls en masse for her as they did for him. And they were the same, they were one and the same pretty much. It wasn't the same person, but one and the same. And now the same thing. Joe Biden is different from Barack Obama, but he was linked to Barack Obama. The excitement of the first this, the first that for Barack Obama versus Joe Biden is not there as the first Black president, but we have a chance for someone who looks like us. I'm not telling you who to vote for because I am a journalist, but I'm saying this from the unique perch from which I sit. Stop laughing, Byron. So, but at issue is we have to understand what's on the ballot is your life. It's not about the person who's there, it's your life. If I'm sitting in the house for 6 months, afraid to go out because of COVID, because this president mismanaged, my life is at stake. If my money is funny, which it is, all of us have been touched in some kind of way. We have to look at it as that. People who are put in these high spaces and places are supposed to understand our existence. And if they don't, you have the right to say yay or nay about them. And not just president, but down ballot, state and local government as well. This is important that you remember, we the people, you are a part of that equation that our white founding fathers put in place, never expecting that you would be in existence. We the people are still forming a more perfect union. And one of those tools to make the union perfect is to vote. That's it. And vote for the candidate who best looks like and resembles you, whether white or Black.
Mm-hmm. Stevie, you may have us on mute.
I think Mr. Stevie Wonder's on mute.
You want to give him the question again, Natasha? Give him the question there.
So, Mr. Stevie Wonder, I just wanted to say that, although we had historic turnout in 2012, in 2016, we saw a drop, and Black voters came out actually in smaller numbers than white voters. So the question is, if people don't feel inspired, if maybe the Biden-Harris ticket is not their favorite, what can we tell them about why they are still needed at the polls?
Stevie's on mute, but I'll say no vote is a vote. When you don't vote, you voted for the other person. That's a no vote is a vote, and you
in the wrong direction.
You say what? Would you say, Stevie?
It's a no vote, which
yes,
in the wrong direction.
It's in the wrong direction. And what I would say about my issue with Donald Trump is I have many issues with Donald Trump, but the thing that is you cannot refute it. Donald Trump is caught on tape lying to the American people about COVID-19.
Yes, he is.
He lied to the American people and told us to do the exact opposite of what he told Bob Woodward on tape. He lied and the American people die. You lie, we die. Okay? If Barack Obama had lied to the American people about COVID-19, that Negro would still be in prison, okay? Trump lied, and it's on tape, and we're dying, and people are losing their homes, they're being evicted, they lost their jobs, their loved ones, on and on and on. You have to hold people accountable. And when you don't vote, you are basically saying, it's okay if I suffer. It's okay if I die. It's okay if I'm evicted. It's okay if I lose my home. It's not okay. You deserve better. And you need to hold politicians accountable, because politicians are nothing more than temporary hired help. They are here to serve the people. And if you don't serve the people, then bye, Felicia. Bye. It's that simple.
But Byron, it's interesting. And Stevie, we talk amongst ourselves. You and I talk, and when our spirit is so at dis-ease. I'm not talking about the disease of COVID, but when our spirit is in dis-ease. And Stevie, my spirit was in such dis-ease a couple of weeks ago. We had a marathon conversation just about this moment. And instead of just talking, we talk, but we have to, and we say, this is what's wrong or this is what's right. Instead of talking, we got to fix it. We have to realize, we have to feel empowered, like we matter. And the unfortunate thing is, we sit on the sidelines grumbling and crying like we don't matter. And we have the keys to make the choice, to make the change for the better. And I mean, and Stevie and I was literally not understanding. He was trying to boost my spirits. And I'm like, what is this moment? And you and I've talked, I'm like, what is this moment? In my lifetime, I have not seen this before. Now, mind you, I'm that kid who was born in 1967, a few months before the assassination of Dr. King, 4 years before the March on Washington, a couple of years before the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. And I'm like thinking that, when Barack Obama was president, I said, okay, are we post-racial? No. We are post-Obama. And what does post-Obama look like? It looks like this. When Black people are trying to find their way yet again, we're voting without the full protections of the Voting Rights Act. And our vote is being suppressed. And we have to really, once again, use critical thinking in this moment. This is a life or death moment. And when we talk about COVID, we are the ones disproportionately contracting and dying from it as they're opening up the economies. And I don't believe that there is a coincidence that they opened up the economies without giving us the statistics, the true statistics from the White House, that it was us. And I'm saying this once again, from the unique perch that I've been blessed to sit in for 23 years. This is not myth or conjecture, but this is what we are facing right now in this moment. It's crazy.
Stevie.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to make it very simple for everybody. I was given a gift of song, of writing, of all these things, because I believe that God felt that I was worthy. And so I'm very thankful for that. So in essence, I have been given my love and my commitment to my culture, my family, the united family of every single group of people, not only in this country, but throughout the world. And the gift of song has allowed me to hopefully motivate, educate, and inspire people to be a better people in this world, including myself. There's songs that I've written that inspired me to be a better person. There's a part in this song that I wrote called As. And there's a part in the middle part, which was the last part that I wrote, which says sometimes life can make you feel that life can make you feel like you're born in another time and space. But you can bet your life times that and twice it's double, that God knew exactly where he wanted you to be placed. So make sure when you say you're in it, but not of it, you're not helping to make this earth a place sometimes. Change your words into truth, and then change those words into love, and then maybe what our children's can make that difference. And so I for pretty much all of my life. I've been in this since I was 11, 59 years ago. So I have served and loved people for longer than any president. But believe it, I don't want to be a president. That's not my purpose, nor calling. But it motivate and inspire people to do what they need to do. And that is why, I'm supporting the trouble. It's not about, people can say all kind of silly things about people. They can say all kind of mean things about people. But my issue is when you have the position and have been given the opportunity by, oh my God, to make a difference in the world as a leader, and you don't use that opportunity to do that, that's a bad.
Thank you.
We have to vote. We have to commit ourselves to making a difference. We have to commit ourselves to doing the very thing that so many millions of people, Black people, brown people, white people, all different ethnicities gave their lives so that we could do this thing. And so it's very simple. Get out there, ask them.
Natasha.
Yeah, with power comes responsibility. I think we actually have another special guest in the building. I just want to confirm. I think we have him on the line. He may be getting set up. He is award-winning actor, comedian, singer, songwriter, just a Renaissance man overall. Jamie Foxx. Is that Jamie?
Jamie.
Man, how are y'all?
How are you? Good to see you.
It is good to see you. I hope everyone is, first of all, this is just amazing. Byron Allen, thank you so much to be on here with Stevie, to be on here with all of you.
April Ryan, John Legend coming up. You. Look at you.
John Legend. We're just ordinary people.
I've always say this every time I see you because I mean it from my heart. You are, just one of the most talented people on planet Earth, period. And it's just blessed. We're blessed to live in this time with you. And thank you for shining your talent on us.
Listen, thank you. But I will tell you this. I have not seen this country in a more vulnerable position.
That's right.
Being on the front lines, I've been going to protests since Rodney King, listening to Stevie Wonder talk about how long he's been at this and how hard it is sometimes to move the needle when it comes to just doing good and being good. Being in Minnesota on the front line, watching when things happened to George Floyd, watching this movement. The one thing I was encouraged about was the fact that when I went around that corner in Minnesota, not knowing what we were going to see, but I saw thousands of people that weren't Black. I saw white people that were taking up on this, taking charge, young white kids who were 24, 25 years old. And it blew my mind a little bit. I was like, wow, what is this? But then I realized that this white kid's first record was a hip hop record. Barack Obama being president wasn't a big deal to them because they think that's the way things should be, that we should have equality. We shouldn't be looking at someone according to the color, according to gender and things like that. That's the world we should live in. But we are in a desperate fight. We need every single vote. Where I live, and I know you know this, Byron, I live in Trump country. They are flying their flags now, really not ashamed about it. And I continue to challenge them on the person who is running the country, and they would, sometimes they skate past things that are right in your face. He never mentioned Black Lives Matter. When it comes to bringing the country together, he chooses to make it chaotic. Here we are in 2020. We shouldn't be this way. There's no way we shouldn't be this way. But what I do get discouraged about is us. Because I will tell you this, is that Trump didn't vote for himself. I tell every comedian that's making a joke, Trump did not vote for himself.
Preach.
Those votes that he got were from people. And the fact that we sat back and we allowed it, what does it say about us? It ain't got nothing to do with Trump. All Trump did was went out there and did what he wanted to do. And they fell for it, bought it, or they actually believe in it. It's all of it. I don't say that everyone that voted for Trump is a racist, but they are perceptionists. The perception of how they want this world to be is to bring it back to a certain level of where racism is sort of being a little more in your face. The fact that all of these things that we used to go about criteria, they didn't care about the criteria. Sometimes I wonder what exactly are we, what exactly is the standard now when you watch all of the things that this guy has done, but it's up to us. All of the complaining, all the jokes, all these different things, we got to get out there and really vote. And that's what discourages me, is that I hear Black people say, man, it ain't this, Obama, this. We are so turned around backwards, and we have to be more, we have to be more vigilant. We have to be not afraid. If you look at a Trump, when you see a Trump, when you see a Trump supporter, they in your face. I mean, they in your face. And then us, we got, yeah. I mean, look, I go out in my community, and every time I go to vote, they're right in my face. When you're going to change, when you're going to get with us. We need to have the same energy. We need to have the same, like this means something. When I look at my kids, Brian, and when you look at your kids, what are we leaving to them? The presidency used to be a benchmark of the moral compass. Mm-hmm. No matter what, we could look to the presidency and say, all of our kids could look at this person, whether male or female, hopefully female is coming soon, and say, hey, this is what we strive to be. Is this what we strive to be now? A person who is openly bigoted in the way he speaks, a person who says people in Charleston were good people, those people that said blood and soil, and we don't even know the education that blood and soil was said with the Nazis when they were doing what they did to the Jews. What have we become? So in the end, if we don't get out and vote, I don't want to hear nothing from nobody. I don't want to hear anything from anybody if we don't get out and vote. I don't want to hear. And then we have to hold these other people accountable. The media and all these different things. Listen, I've been out here on these front lines, and all they keep showing is little bitty corners of violence. Little bitty corners of violence. When there was 50,000 people in Minnesota and we were harmonious. When it was 25, 30,000 people in San Francisco, we were harmonious. When we're in Houston, hold these people accountable, because they know that Trump makes money for them. If Trump is in office, they got another show. If Trump is in office, another town hall meeting. We ain't got time for that. We cannot listen to these so-called media places and say, oh, we really, no, they don't. They absolutely don't, because I call them. I say, could you give me one good story about Black Lives Matter? Could you give me one good story about the peaceful part of this march? It's a lot of things going on, and it comes down to a whole lot of money. And they know that man not only is he making things chaotic, but he makes a lot of money for them, because chaos is what we pay for. Even when you look at social media, simple things. If I put on my social media right now, we just saved a cat in a tree, nothing. But if I put in there that the tree burned down with the cat, so we're sort of addicted to that. We have to lose that addiction. We have to get to these polls. And like I said, Trump did not vote for himself. We have to be bold. People have lived and died. This is not the country I want my kids to grow up in. Byron, I know you don't want that. Stevie and everybody on this. We're better than what we are, man. And if you think about it like this, even the simple things like if you looked at this man when he was a so-called businessman, he never paid attention to details. Even the money, they said, oh, he gonna get the money right. He messed that up. And it was all about, hey, pay attention to one thing, the pandemic. Pay attention to one thing. Wear a mask. Pay attention. Small things like that now has thrown our country into so much chaos. Over 200,000 people have passed away. We can't shake our heads at that. Those are 200,000 people that are affected, whether they're your mother, your grandfather, whatever. 200,000. It's 400,000 people affected.
Because
you understand what I'm saying? So if we do not link arms and not be afraid, get behind Biden, get behind Kamala, people who are incredible. When people say something about Biden, I said, well, isn't it interesting that if Biden was whatever, why did the first African-American president choose him as a running mate? Why? What sense would that make if this man was so whatever you say it? And what I tell people all the time, stop listening to the 2 or 3 minute social media bite that can define a person's whole life. And that's not true. That man that man has worked diligently and dedicated himself to people, to being human, to being civil. And Byron, you've seen this man. We broke bread with this man, Stevie. Listen, we have to make sure that we take care of him. We have to make sure that we get out there and keep controlling, keep pushing the narrative of a great man who we desperately need right now. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I appreciate you allowing me to come on here and speak with you guys. And like I said, I got my sleeve rolled up, and we're going to get out here and get it done. And Byron, thank you so much.
I saw you. Thank you. And I saw you out there in Minneapolis, and, it warmed my heart. And you're right there in the trenches. You are in the trenches. And, there's no one like you. Like, you are out there. You don't care. You are marching.
Listen, man, at the end of the day, if we don't use what we have to be decent, and Byron, you use everything that you can, you hold people accountable, Stevie, everybody, we got to be decent, man. When you go, there's a group called Circle of Mothers, man. There are 100 mothers that have had either police brutality because of their sons have been taken away or whatever, that don't even get the limelight. It's way beyond Breonna Taylor. It's way beyond George Floyd. It is an epidemic. We've been living through a pandemic of racism since we've been here. And now to be in 2020 is what breaks your heart, man. When I sit and have dinner with Trayvon Martin or with Ahmaud Arbery's father and listen to this man say, hey, that was my boy. Why couldn't they just beat him up and let him get home? And then when you have a person when you have a person who's bleeding on the inside and still saying, hey, I'm still out here with the fight. I'm still out here to support. We can't have a person at the top not recognize that at all, not give us a drop of consoling us, not give us one iota, not to even mention these people's name. And then for my black folks thinking that, oh, well, I don't know who I'm gonna vote for. Well, what is your problem? He is showing you what it is. He's showing you what it is. I'm out here, man. And I'm going to tell you, it's so sad, but it's beautiful at the same time because there is a movement and we just have to continue to protect it. And I'll tell you, for all of the people that are in America and around the world that are saying Black Lives Matter, that are saying we need a change, that are saying we need a super change, and for this person not to recognize any of it, to act as if we're making it up, to act as if this is not happening. It's so many things that we have to correct. And I'm just afraid, man. I'm afraid that if this man wins another 4 years, people think 2020 was bad. Buckle up. What makes you think 2021 gonna be any better? If this person is still at the helm, this person doesn't even pay attention to detail. He doesn't even read. That's the main thing. All of our presidents, whether they were Democrat or Republican, they were politically intelligent and they read. They understood that if I say something wrong today here, it would change the axis of the earth somewhere in China or whatever. He doesn't even understand that. It's beyond that. Can I tell you how many Republicans have called me privately and says, I'll help you. I'll help you get him out. I said, well, listen, stop being quiet and get out there and say it. They're calling me saying, hey, I'll help you get him out. We know that it's wrong. I said, because for my great Republican friends, I said, hey, this ain't what you about. This is not what you about. If this man gets this, where I really drew a line in the sand. If this man got 90 whatever percent of the evangelical vote, well, what kind of heaven we going to?
Hell.
Because I'm not going to be there with y'all. I said, if this is what you consider heavenly, if this is what you consider righteous, this man don't even know the Bible. And as I'm talking to my friends, I said Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, Ezra, Esther, Nehemiah, Job, Psalms, and it goes on. I know that. I know what that really is. And you sit here and let this man who scour you, let this man have you turn your back on what really is right. I'm telling you, we have to get out there. We have to make sure that this man is not in presidency, because if you think 2020 is messed up, hey man, hey, buckle up. And it's not just, and I tell people say celebrity, I say, hey man, I come from Terrell, Texas, population 12,000 people. My grandmother and grandfather pick cotton. They pick cotton. My grandmother said, listen, I'm going to teach you how to play the piano so you can go on the other side of the track. So what do you mean, Granny? Why? Because it's all over the world. I know what it's like to have a bread, a sugar water, or a syrup sandwich. I know what it's like to have free lunch tickets. I know what it's like. I'm not a celebrity. This is my job. What I am is a Black man, a human who believes that love should be the thing that we lead out with, and hate should be sought out and drowned in every corner of the earth. That's what I am. So even to my celebrities, don't let people tell you, oh, you said, no, you come from somewhere. I ain't come from no money. I could tell, I got my whole family living with me right now. Look, I got outdoor furniture inside. Things ain't all good. Things ain't all good. I got outside furniture inside. It ain't always what it is. But I tell you what, I believe that everybody on this call is smart. That's the one thing where we're intelligent and we're compassionate. And I think love and compassion will win out. And thank you guys.
Jamie, I want to ask you a question. This is April Ryan, White House correspondent.
I love you. How are you?
I love you too, very much. But let me say this. You have hit the nail when you talk about the media. And the problem is that there is a loud false narrative from the White House about Black Lives Matter. Yeah. It's a loud false narrative. It takes loud voices to overcompensate, to combat that. So when you are in Minnesota or meeting with the families, your voice is loud. People pay attention. And in the protests, it's unfortunate you don't see the protests now until something that bleeds, that leads. We need voices to hear from you and others to show that, look, this is still going on. And for people to say that Black people are not like Trump. Trump is pro-policing. We're pro-policing, but we want to weed out the bad policing. We have police officers who are in our families, who we're married to, what have you. We have people who are in the military. We're just as patriotic as any other group. But we have to figure out how to report on the other side when that narrative is so loud, the false narrative. We need more people like you and others to come out and speak.
Listen, I've been speaking. I've been calling them. They don't want to report it. I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. All them people up there with that we think is really got our back don't. And think about this. There is a network dedicated to a narrative for Republicans.
Oh, I know.
They're dedicated. Fox News is dedicated, but we don't have that. But we don't listen. We don't have that, and that's the thing. So a lot of times it's like, you know, I wonder who really is our friend. And then when you talk about, let's just talk about the Black Lives Matter. You know what it is? A friend of mine told me, who was white, said her father was racist, didn't like any of the races, didn't like Blacks, Mexicans, whatever, and she was really disheartened by it. And I said, well, what about Black? She said, oh my goodness. And I was like, really? You know. And then I said, well, what about Tiger? And what about Obama? She said, oh, well, yeah, they like them. I said, but then she said something interesting. But guys like my father wait for a Black man to make a mistake so they can hate him again. I want this to sink in. When the Black Lives Matter movement happened, everybody was into it, right? But then when they saw, oh, there was a riot. Oh, I got a reason. I got to
But
read
that
you.
wasn't Black Lives Matter. That wasn't.
But watch this. But it doesn't matter. But my wife was like, oh, well, see, they're tearing up. I said, well, wait a minute. Just a minute ago, you no. It's just I feel that. So they wanted that reason. They the Antifa and this and that and all the what. I said, listen, man. If you are going through something where people are being killed that are Black, everything that we are doing is reactionary to something that is being done to us. If a police officer is killing a Black person on camera, what are we supposed to do? It's natural for us to say, hey, there is something wrong. And then you are upset with us for the way we react to what is going wrong. Not that he got slapped, not that he got a ticket, that he was murdered. I said, it doesn't make sense that we are challenged either way. We're challenging the fact that it happened, and then we're challenging our reaction. So I don't know what the answer is when it comes to what the press is dealing with. All I can say is we can't let go of the reins. We can't be discouraged by it. What happens is that I look at Brian Stevenson, who's never discouraged by anything. He just goes on and he goes on. We can't be discouraged. We can't tuck it in. When I see some of my colleagues, well, with Breonna Taylor, we didn't really know. It's not Breonna Taylor. That's just one. That is one instance of a bigger condition. The question is, why is it only happening to Black people? Why is it only happening to us? And the reason is, the answer is because of the perception of a Black person and that we don't matter. Even to us sometimes, we watch so much death. We see it so much that we become numb to it. We watch so much death. We talk about jail so much that we even rap about it. We rap about going to jail. It's so many layers that we got to peel back. So many different things that we got to do. But I tell you, we got to be brave. We got to keep telling the truth. Look, Black Lives Matter. A white guy told me this. Very, very, very famous white guy. Said he was talking to his white friends, and the lady said, well, I don't understand. The Black Lives Matter shouldn't all lives matter. He said, well, let me break it down to you like this. You go to the doctor. The doctor say your kidney bad, and we got to operate on your kidney or you ain't gonna make it. The heart matters too. The liver matters too. The pancreas matters too. But right now, your kidney is bad.
Yeah.
And if you don't fix your kidney, everything will go to hell. We are the kidney. We need fixing. We need the help of everybody, because now that we're going through what we're going through, everything is going bad. Look at it. So it just takes bravery, man. And it don't take much. And we can't be worried about what people think and things like that. I'm glad that the Rock is supporting. I mean, that's big. I mean, you got a lot of people out there, man, that really want to get it done, and taking those steps sometimes are hard. But like I said, when it comes to the meeting and everything, April, I appreciate you, what you do. You're standing in front of the gauntlet, in front of a person who, like I said, he shouldn't be there, but like I said, he didn't vote for himself. So we got to get out there. We got to vote. We got to get out there and change this thing, and then try to get 2000. I'm worried about 2021.
Yeah.
What do you think about the folks? Real quick, I'm asking, how do you think folks should look at how Trump lied to them about COVID-19?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Byron. It doesn't matter. They don't care if he lies or not. You got to understand. I equate it to a basketball terminology. Boston Celtics versus the Lakers back in the 80s. If you was a Celtic fan and somebody said Magic was great, you didn't care what Magic did. Same thing. If you say a Larry Bird was great, man, I don't care what. It doesn't matter what he says. That's what you got to understand. When the man says, I could kill somebody in the street and still get voted for, it's the truth. Yeah, and you got to understand. And Republicans are different. I tell Democrats all the time, Republicans are different. Who's ever up, they'll endorse. I said, like Democrats are like R&B singers, got to sing lead. You know, it's always, they never come together. I'd be like, why don't y'all get together? But Republicans are like a choir. They all sing. They don't sing in tune, but they sing loud, and they all know the words.
And
if you look at what they do, they're smart. They knew that this dude made it. But what are they doing now? They're Supreme Court justice. Wake up. The Supreme Court justice, it's not about him. They don't care if they don't care if it's a puppy. They don't care if it's a puppy. Mm. If he got the votes, we with it. Now let's go get what we're gonna get. The Supreme Court judge, all of these things that they're running past us, all of these things that they're getting ready to do, because we are sitting up wondering about who is going to sing lead. Mm-hmm. Learn the lines, learn the words, sing the chorus. Come together, man. Stop knocking each other. Stop. Look at what this man did. This man talked about Ted Cruz, talked about all them people at the end. It was like Godfather. Don Cheech.
He talked about his wife. It was bad.
Talked about his wife, man. You're going to let somebody talk about your wife. That lets you know how serious it is. He had one man say, you talk about the epidemic. One man in Texas says, well, if I have to sacrifice my life for Donald Trump, I will. Think about how dedicated, but you got to marvel at this. Shouldn't laugh at it. Think about how dedicated they are. Can we get a third of that? Some people, can we get a third of people on in Instagram, to black folks talking about, well, I don't know who I should vote for. I don't know, whoever it is, Trump, what are you talking about? Where are we? So Stevie, I look at Stevie Wonder, and it breaks my heart that we're not better than what we are. When Stevie Wonder stood in front of those dogs and those water cannons and stood with those people, and he sung from his heart and did everything that he could so we could wipe it away in one Instagram post. Yeah, I apologize, Stevie, but we're going to get out here and we're going to get it done.
Some people say that the Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line. Mm-hmm. So it's time for everyone who is for the good of our family, our people, and our united people to fall in line with love and make it happen and vote like there's no tomorrow. Vote for your life. Mm-hmm. That's what you're doing. We all are seeing what has happened and what is going to happen. Nobody's playing. And guess what? We ain't got time for that.
We have no time. No time.
Nobody. We can't put fate. We can't put voting in the hands of fate.
Natasha.
Yeah.
Go for it.
This is an amazing conversation. Our audience has tripled, by the way, just in case you're curious. Over the course of this hour and a half, we have tripled the amount of
This people. Is a family discussion, a real family discussion that has so been needed. We need this. So
necessary. So again, if you are watching, please hit the share button at the bottom so we can triple that number even more. So, there's one thing that Jamie said that really stuck with me, and this idea that it's even beyond Trump. It's who Trump puts into power, right? It's not just about one individual. It's about what this administration has done over the past 4 years and what could happen over the next 4 years. So can we just kind of lay that out? Maybe we start with April. Just what have you seen in terms of what else is on the line locally and even, in terms of some of these judicial appointments?
So if you understand what's happening at the Supreme Court right now, there's serious hypocrisy at issue. Remember when President Obama was president, he nominated Merrick Garland and everyone said, no. We had 11 months. And they said, no, not until the next president. Well, we have how many days? 40 some days. And they're trying to rush through Amy Coney Barrett. And Amy Coney Barrett is a conservative. We are losing the notorious RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and she loved that name. And this woman stood for rights, for people, women's rights, etc. Liberal, if you will. Now, what this president is getting ready to do, he's getting ready to put a conservative on the bench, and it's going to lean conservatively. And this is another 30 to 40 years that whatever she decides is going to be in our face, in our children's faces, and maybe even our grandchildren's faces. When Justice Thurgood Marshall died, we don't have anyone like him. We don't have another rights person, civil rights person. Now that RBG is gone, we've got someone who was a clerk for Anton Scalia, a law clerk for Anton Scalia. And if you remember, one of the things that Anton Scalia said about HBCUs, they were lower serving schools. Now, I'm a member of an HBCU. I am a proud graduate, a ninth class of 1989, Morgan State University. And I do not believe I'm second to anyone. I've got 3 honorary doctorates. I am second to no one. So for that justice to say that, and she was his law clerk, and when you bring a law clerk in, they feed the information to the justice. And my question is, when she was there, what was she feeding him? She's also a graduate of Notre Dame. We have to really be concerned about who is on the court. Now, Joe Biden, if he is president, he is still committed to the idea of putting a Black woman on the Supreme Court. There are qualified liberal Black women to be on the Supreme Court. But the issue is if he is elected president of the United States. So when you lose ground, a lot of times you don't make it back. There's not another Thurgood Marshall. There is not another RBG there. We're leaning conservative. And what happens is when the court leans conservative, issues of voting rights, we are now voting without the full protections of the Voting Rights Act. We are in the midst of voter suppression with the post office. That's what we're dealing with. Roe v. Wade, pro-choice versus pro-life is on the ballot. And there's so much more that affects you. So the court is not some high, lofty piece. The Supreme Court is not something high and lofty. It affects you. And then all the courts below. This president has put so many conservative judges in seats of power to change the dynamic of decisions that affect you. So, and I mean, and I want to go to this. I just want to go to this. And let's look at the way of thinking. Let's go to Daniel, what is it? I can't remember his last name. I'm forgetting it on purpose. What did you say?
For the AG in Kentucky?
Yeah, Cameron, yeah.
We forgot.
His
name has been forgotten.
He's forgotten.
Yeah, right, on purpose. Let's look at what he did. The wall and the neighbor got more justice than Breonna Taylor did. And at issue is this AG, he still should be able to say, this thing needs to go to court. This needs to be tried. And we're not hearing that. So we have to use critical thinking when we look at who is up for what post. From the highest office in the land, to judges, to Supreme Court, to everything. To governors, to this, that, because they appoint people or what have you. This matters. So this court situation could really cause problems for women with their idea of it's my body, I can do what I want. For voting, we see right now we're watching the post office be held hostage by the White House. So we have a hard time, and it's aimed at Democrats or Black people. I'm a Black person. It is aimed at me. So the issue is to push the vote down so that he can win. So we have to look at all of these issues that are playing right now. And this Supreme Court justice it impacts you and me for the next 30 to 40 years, and even our children and their children's children.
So we're going to, Natasha, we're going to go to John Legend, but I will say, I think it's important for this administration. And by the way, The Rock is supporting Biden-Harris. And I think it's important for some of these politicians to really just speak to the genocide against Black America, including economic genocide. And I don't think we should skirt around the issue of reparations for Black.
That's
America.
right.
Because Black America does deserve reparations, and we shouldn't scoot around that. And by the way, when we get Biden-Harris into office, I believe that is a conversation that can be had. Why don't you, Natasha, go ahead and bring in John Legend.
Well, thank you so much, April, for that insight and that breakdown. GRIO family, we are so excited to have Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony award-winning singer-songwriter.
The youngest EGOT.
And the first African-American man in history to do so, singer-songwriter, activist, John Legend. Welcome, John Legend.
How's everybody? Great to see y'all.
Good to see you.
Hey,
Great to see all
John.
my friends here.
Yes.
John, we are doing great, and this is a family conversation, so we're just keeping it real with our people. Tell us what is at stake in this election, and why must we show up to the polls?
Well, I think democracy is at stake, and I know democracy hasn't always been accessible to Black people in America, but we fought for the rights to vote. We fought for the right to not have our votes suppressed by all these different rules and regulations that have tried to exclude us or marginalize us or make it more difficult for our folks to vote. And now we have a president who is willing to use the Department of Justice, who's willing to use the Postal Service, who's willing to use the government of Ukraine and the government of Russia, any kind of tricks he can use to make it more difficult for us to vote or to suppress our vote in other ways. And if we allow that to stand, if he gets reelected, we will not have a democracy anymore. There are countries like Russia and Turkey and other countries around the world where they get to vote, but they don't actually have a real democracy because the government is so controlled by the head of state, and the terms of the election are so dictated by the head of state that people don't actually have the right to self-determination and the use of their vote in a way that's transparent and fair and free. And we are on the verge of that. America's democracy is not guaranteed. Our late civil rights hero and founding father, John Lewis, said, democracy is not a state, it's an act. We are not just a democracy because we say we are. We have to act accordingly. That means us voting. That means us maintaining the rule of law so that every vote counts equally and that there aren't all these roadblocks and suppression techniques being used by the government. These things are on the ballot right now, and most fundamentally, our rights to be a democracy, a representative democracy that operates under the rule of law, are on the ballot right now.
Yes.
And if we don't vote for Biden and Kamala Harris, I don't know where this country is going to be next year. I don't know where it's going to be in 4 years. We may not even, Trump likes to joke about these things, how he's going to keep getting reelected and stay in office. If he does enough to crush our democracy and to own the courts and own all these levers of power within our democracy, he may stay in office forever until he dies. These things could happen. I think we all think it's just a given that we're going to continue to exist as the republic we've been, but it's not a given.
No. And John, you've been doing so much work to actively fight for democracy. Can you tell us a little bit about Free the Vote and what's happening in Florida? Because what's happening in Florida, I mean, there is a lot going on right now, especially with efforts to suppress the vote.
Yeah, there was both, because we did a lot of work to free the vote. We, with the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition and other activists, joined together and said, Florida was one of the only states left in the country that had a lifetime ban on people who had committed felonies, usually when they were young. Most of the time, they had committed them in their late teens, early 20s, and there was a lifetime ban on them voting. One of only a few states in the country that still kept that lifetime ban. Those lifetime bans were a relic of the Jim Crow era. They were intentionally put in place because they knew they had the power to charge us and to arrest us and to put us in jail and prison. And they figured, well, since we're going to do that unfairly, and we're going to unfairly target Black and brown people, then let's also say that once they've done this felony, they're not going to be able to vote for the rest of their lives. And so that was on the books for a long time in Florida. And the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition and a group of activists, including myself, decided that it was time to put a vote to the people of Florida to say, let's free the vote for these over 1 million Floridians who had permanently had their rights to vote taken away. So we won. It required a supermajority. It required 60% of Floridians to approve this Amendment 4 in the election. So in 2018, when the race between Andrew Gillum and DeSantis was basically 50-50, the race between Bill Nelson and Rick Scott was basically 50-50. Floridians of both parties and independents voted 65-35 in favor of making sure these folks who had done their time and were ready to contribute to society in every other way would be able to vote. And then, after all that, this huge victory, the backlash came. The state legislature tried to erase the will of the people by making it so that not only did these folks have to be out of prison and have done their sentence, but they also had to pay all these extra court fees and fines that many of them just couldn't afford to pay. So it was essentially a modern day poll tax saying, if you're not well off enough to afford these fees and fines, then you don't get to vote. And our system of voting, you've heard some of our leaders say recently that voting is a privilege, not a right. That is not true. Voting is a right for citizens of this country to have a say in our election and say in how our representatives legislate and execute the laws. It is a right. It's not a privilege that you have to be on special behavior to earn. We all earned it by just being citizens of this country. So we said, since they're going to try to add all these fees and fines before people can vote, we're going to help pay them off. So we've raised money from quite a few people, from some very wealthy people like Mike Bloomberg and LeBron James and myself, and also from ordinary people who maybe can only afford $10, $15, $20, $100. We've raised over $25 million to help pay some of these fees and fines. There's still a lot more to pay, so we welcome everybody who is interested to go to Florida Rights Restoration Coalition's website and sign up to pay a little bit if you can. But also, if you have relatives who are in Florida and want to make sure they have access to these funds and have a felony on their record and can't afford to pay the fees and fines, make sure they reach out to the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition as well so they can be helped, so they can have the chance to register. And we don't know how they're going to vote, but we believe that no matter which side they're going to vote for, it's better for our democracy that all of them are included and that their voices are heard.
Wow, talk about action. Can we just applaud that? I mean, it's amazing. It's about actually putting into work citizenship, civic engagement, democracy. Byron, what's your reaction to what John was describing in Florida? Because that voter suppression tactic of trying to suppress the vote is happening in other ways too across the country.
But once again, the black vote is the most powerful vote because the white vote is split and the black vote is the deciding vote. That's why they have to work so hard to suppress it and stop it. And that's happening throughout the country. And what we have to do is be very sophisticated, like John just laid out an amazing job. And we have to fight it every step of the way because your vote is the most powerful vote. And, you can't let them take away your truth, your democracy, because this is how they will legislate against you. And this is how they will continue to perform genocide against you. When they brought us here to America, they brought us here to make white America wealthy. And after we were emancipated, we went from being an asset to a liability in their minds. And once we became a liability, they started genocide, Jim Crow, incarcerate them, murder them, lynch them, just get rid of them. And then once Martin Luther King, who lost his life over this, he achieves, our voting rights, this was a big problem. And from that moment on, they've been trying to take that away through these unbelievable, horrible tactics. So I really applaud John and what he's done and the good folks who have helped to get that done.
And I just want to thank you all because I can't stick around too long, but I just want to thank you all for putting this together and doing whatever you can to encourage us all to vote. And not only is democracy on the line, but we have so many other things that we are dealing with in this nation. Of course, our community has been most burdened by the COVID-19 crisis as well. We need leadership in the White House and across the country to make sure we're doing all the public health things we need to do to get through this crisis. We have climate change, which is wreaking havoc here in California. We're seeing these fires. We're seeing in the Southeast all these hurricanes that are more intense than ever. We can't afford another 4 years of a president who doesn't even believe that climate change exists, who believes it's just going to go away, just like he believed the virus was just going to go away. We can't afford another 4 years of a president who's not going to take action on that. And I believe that Biden and Harris's plan on the Green New Deal is really a real revolution for this country. It will create jobs and it will do really tangible things to fight climate change and try to reverse what we've been doing for decades of warming this planet, rising the seas, all these other things that are going to continue to wreak havoc on the planet. So that's another reason to vote for Biden and Harris. And there's so many. I think the comparison between them, sometimes I feel insulted that I even have to compare them because Trump is just so terrible at everything that a president should do. He's so terrible at it that the fact that it's even a conversation is almost an insult to anyone's intelligence. But it's a conversation we got to have. And it's a conversation, sometimes it's not between people voting for one or the other. It's just a conversation between them voting or not. And so we need to make sure people realize how urgent this election is. And I believe it's so urgent, and we can't afford to not be a part of it. So I want to thank you all for bringing me here. And I want to say I love y'all and appreciate y'all. And thanks for letting me get a few words in.
We love and appreciate you, buddy. Be safe.
Bye, John.
John brings up a very good point. I have to tell you, as the owner of the Weather Channel, we have close to 400 employees and a number of probably some of the best scientists in the area of climate change and global warming and weather. And they warned me a while ago that this is going to be a big problem. And even the United States government came out, NOAA, and said because the oceans have increased by 2 degrees, we're going to have over 25 hurricanes, double what we had last year. And a number of those hurricanes could be catastrophic at the level of Hurricane Katrina. We could have 4 or 5 of those. And I have to tell you, the greatest threat to humankind on planet Earth is climate change, is global warming. Because what it's doing is, it's real simple. It is going to kill you. Climate change, global warming is going to kill you. Look at these hurricanes, look at these floods, look at these fires. All of this is climate change and global warming. Also, look at this pandemic. As we push species and animals closer and closer to the human food chain, you're going to be exposed to more and more viruses, epidemics, and pandemics. Now, it will not be another 102 years that we go without a pandemic, the Spanish flu in 1918. You're going to have this be more and more frequent if we don't get climate change under control. As we melt the icebergs, there are millions of viruses in those icebergs that we as human beings have never shared the planet with. You don't even want those viruses melted and put into the ecosystem. The greatest threat to human beings on planet Earth, climate change, global warming, it is going to kill you. You are going to die. You're going to die.
Yeah. I have to let Stevie get in here because Stevie, you said recently that life is out of tune. You were recently quoted as saying that life is out of tune right now. And it speaks to what Byron's talking about the planet and so many aspects of the natural way that Mother Earth works being just completely out of line and Black people being the most vulnerable. Can you talk about, some of your concerns around that and how taking care of the planet matters for our longevity?
Well, obviously, planet being one of those places that we inhabit and we are responsible for. When we begin to feel like it's not important, that means that we are out of touch and out of tune with just our very existence. For anyone to feel that we can exist without that we have lived on and in for as long as we've existed, and for anyone to believe the scenario that it's not as bad as you think or as they say. And you've got to respect the planet. And people have said that for years. Hey, years ago in the 60s, Marvin Gaye wrote about it, sang about it. And other artists as well have sang about it. And people are still singing about it. You know, do you believe in science? I believe in science. And that's why voting is important.
Absolutely. These are very trying times and important times. We have about 5 minutes left, so I just want to encourage everyone, if you have any questions that you want to send our way, feel free to go ahead and put them in the comments. But yeah, I guess my last question, is directed at April, and it's about this question of truth. So Stevie was talking about science and people putting that in question. What about just truth, period? I mean, just the misinformation that we've seen these past 4 years, and particularly in this election. How does that hit you as a Black journalist? The fact that we can't even get truth. I have folks in our comments, in GRIO comments, who say that COVID is a hoax.
You know what? I'm so sick of that foolishness. That's why people. Okay, so if COVID's a hoax, is Herman Cain's death a hoax? Come on now. And even Donald Trump said that. Is it a hoax because the president is now wearing a mask? Remember when he went to pay his final respects to the notorious RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and he wore a mask and he was booed? Was that a hoax? There is something real here that's killing people in this country and around the world. And first of all, I want to backtrack for a minute. Stevie Wonder also said love. We are missing empathy from the highest office in the land, which we used to have. About people. Politics is not about party, it's about people, humanity. Let's remember that. For the last 23 years, I've been at the White House, never really had to question something the president said per se, beyond asking questions, well, let me get this right. But now we have to all out fact check in real time this president. Everything comes to the White House, from war to peace and everything in between, and it's so serious. Lives matter. Black lives matter. Everything comes to the White House. And if you cannot tell the truth about that, we rely on the words from the White House. We rely on everything that emanates, because it affects us. And at the end of the day, if you can't trust that, where are you? I think about, and this is one thing, and our viewers and listeners will remember this. Remember when the White House had the narrative, when Sarah Huckabee Sanders was White House press secretary, the narrative was the reason why Colin Kaepernick was taking the knee was because he was against, policing, against the flag, against the soldiers. That wasn't what it was. The issue was, it was about stopping the police brutality, the deadly police brutality that's happening. And by me raising my hand, asking the question, does the president realize what it's about? Because he was sending out a false narrative. We cannot, when the stakes are so high, have someone lie to us. Truth matters. And particularly for our young people who are watching, they get their cues from leaders. And if a president is lying, what are they going to do? If a president is being domineering, demanding all sorts of things, what are they going to do? But again, everything comes to us from the White House. And if he's lying to us, we don't know. And I'm so glad that Bob Woodward got him on tape in his own words. So it's not a hoax. If the president understood COVID was 5 times worse and deadlier than the flu, and the fact that it was airborne, and the fact that he wanted to, quote unquote, downplay it, not to get everyone in an uproar, it's unfortunate. We have to believe the exact opposite of what he's saying.
Thank you so much, April. I have Stevie, did you want to jump in? I wasn't sure if he was on mute. We do have an audience question, and this one is directed to Byron, but the panel can respond. What do you recommend beyond voting to bring Black people, they said people of color, but I say Black people, to a position of power and unity? Power and unity beyond voting. Is there anything else?
That's a great question. And, first of all, we should participate in the census. So Black people, we have to participate, people of color, we have to participate in the census, because that will control the flow of over, $1 trillion in your schools, your communities, your hospitals. That's very important. We have to do that. We have to be very sophisticated as Black people as it relates to politics. We must finance our talent. We can't lose an Andrew Gillum. We can't lose a Stacey Abrams. We can't lose our talent. And also, there are white politicians who also lean in for us and fight for us. And we have to look them in the eye and ask them, where do you stand? And we have to be clear about our ask. We, as Black people, we need reciprocity for slavery. We should have a free education and free healthcare and access to capital that's not predatory. Home loans, bank loans, car loans. That has to be our ask. And we can say, and when we start to vote and vote consistently, guess what will happen? All politicians, Black and white, will do everything to appease us. Because what they will say is, I can't upset Black people. Black people actually donate money. Black people actually vote. And if I don't get that Black money and I don't get that Black vote, I'm not going to keep my job, or I'm not going to get in office. I have to take care of Black people. So when we do this, look at Biden. Black people gave Biden his political career back. We gave him the one and only primary that he won. That's how powerful you are. Click your heels 3 times, Dorothy. You're already home. You're powerful. So when Black people come together and we vote and we donate $5, $10, they're going to lean in on our agenda. And our agenda has to be clear. And we have to be clear on our ask. Because at the end of the day, Martin Luther King taught us over 50 years ago, 2 Americas won't make it. We need to achieve 1 America. 1 America where everybody is treated equally. And we are watching what the great prophet Martin Luther King taught us. The 2 Americas won't survive, and we're watching 2 Americas unravel this beautiful country of ours. And we, as Black people, in a peaceful way, can make and create 1 America. And when we create 1 America, the rest of the world will see us as an example, and God willing, we can create 1 planet. And if we create 1 planet, we can actually have a slice of heaven right here on earth. And it's as simple as vote.
Thank you. And Stevie, can you go next, please? The question, again, was just about what we can do beyond voting to position Black people and people of color to be in power and in unity.
We must commit ourselves. That's what we have to do. We have to be on the same page unanimously of winning for the good of us as a people and a united people. That's what we have to do. We can't listen to foolishness. We can't listen to any leader at any time who will go on television in front of millions and billions of people and disrespect women of color, white women, whatever. And fallen soldiers. We cannot support that. You can't say that you're a person who's religious who doesn't respect the goodness of God, who uses the Bible as a prop. Are you serious? Come on. My biggest issue that I have, and this has nothing to do with party, it has to do with principle. My biggest issue with this leader is that God gave him the opportunity to make this nation in the world a greater place. And unfortunately, he has failed. I have a song that I've written called When America Smiles, I Fall in Love Again. I'm waiting for us to smile so I can give you all the song. I'm out.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stevie Wonder. We're so honored to have you today. I want to thank April Ryan. She had to go on television, but we thank her. She said her goodbyes to you as well, Mr. Stevie Wonder. John Legend, thank you for coming through. Jamie Foxx, thank you for coming through. And most importantly, Mr. Byron Allen, you're the reason we're here today. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to emphasize the importance of going to the polls. The election is in 37 days, y'all. No time to waste. Please get registered and share this message with everyone you know. Voting is for our life, and we can take our power back. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you.